Do you like your VR content fresh and dank? And stick with the sauce, PSVR Frank. Today, we are looking at every PSVR AIM game available now and coming soon. First up is Arizona Sunshine, the zombie shooter that has multiplayer and campaign. This game has gotten way better over time, so if you heard bad things, it's still not perfect, but it is much better. Next up, Bravo Team, which is also a multiplayer shooter, well, more on the co-op side. Got a lot of terrible reviews at first, and although it's not perfect, I think it's a fun game, and I think it's a solid use of the AIM controller. Next up, Wilde is a beautiful shooting gallery that's one flaw, as that it's very difficult. If you want to shoot some fishes with a bunch of different guns, this one is gonna be right up your alley. Next up, DWVR is an arcade shooter that has you using swords with your moves and rifles with your AIM controller with full movement. I mean, come on. Next up, Farpoint is the game that if you got the AIM, you definitely need to have with all the multiplayer modes that have been added since launch, not to mention the full campaign is fantastic. This game is a must-have AIM game. Honor and Duty is a multiplayer AIM shooter that puts you in a World War II setting. Now, the graphics aren't beautiful, but it works, and you can have a great time with a handful of other headsets. Next up, Operation Warcade is the classic arcade shooter, except in virtual reality. Hop in there with your AIM controller and have a blast blasting away. Special Delivery is Paperboy of the future. Ride your bike, throw papers, dodge items, and make sure they hit the target. Now, at launch, this one was not so great, but with all the updates, it has turned out to be a solid and fun game. Now, that's it for games that are out right now. The rest of the list are games that are coming in the near future. Some have dates, some are to be dated, and others just said they're going to have AIM support. First up, Alvo, which is a multiplayer first-person shooter, looks fantastic from the slim bit of trailer that we've seen. Now, I've been following this game from the start, and I cannot wait until we have something solid with our hands on. Next up, Chromagun has already been out on PS4, but the community wanted it in VR so much that the devs took our request and are putting it into VR. Now, they shared some tweets a while ago. They've been quiet for a bit, so hopefully we'll see something soon. Next up, Demon Grade is the demon AIM shooter from Solus Games. Now, I haven't heard too much about this one for a while, so hopefully it's still coming our way. The next game needs very little introduction, Firewall 0 Hour. Now, we don't have a date for this one, but it's looking to be probably most people's most anticipated AIM game. I mean, who doesn't like attack and defend, first-person shooter scenarios where you can put different mods on your weapons? Next up, Gunheart is already out on PC at the moment, and it is fantastic. So much fun. The closest thing I can think of is similar to the way Destiny feels, and they want to add in AIM support. Now, I'm really hoping this game still comes to PSVR, and I hope we get a date sooner rather than later, because it is too much fun. Next, now, ROM Extraction is another AIM-supported game where you can slow down time and blast enemies as they come from all directions. Initially, I don't think there was a lot of gameplay to this one, so I think what's holding it back is adding more content, but visually, it looks like it could be very striking. Next up, Shadowcore VR is a multiplayer VR shooter that wants to come to PlayStation VR. Now, they should have a GoFundMe or Kickstarter starting soon. We'll have more information on that, but it is looking very interesting. Next up, The Perfect Sniper is exactly what you think it is, a sniper game coming to PlayStation VR. Now, it was supposed to release a while back, but we haven't heard anything in a bit, so I'm hoping that they're just optimizing, and we're going to hear something possibly at this E3. And finally, on the list, Zero Killed, which is another multiplayer first-person shooter coming to PlayStation VR and the AIM controller. I can't wait till we have more of these games. Now, this one looks solid. It looks like you're going to have a lot of different options to put on your guns, a lot of different little things to carry with you, optional loadouts, cross-play is what they want to do with PC. I mean, it sounds ambitious. I've talked to the devs, and I'm really hoping this one pans out to be very cool. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy content like this, and as always, if you want to stay up to date on everything PlayStation VR, and you don't mind Frank, friggin' subscribe. I mean, come on, nah. Smooches.
The prank show what? The prank show, come on, the prank show what? The prank show, come on, the prank show what? The prank show, come on, the prank show. It's time for the show. The Frank Show, what? The Frank Show, come on. Show, what? The Frank Show, come on. The Frank Show, the Frank Show, come on. The Frank Show. It's time for the show.